Greetings, everyone, and welcome to Indie Band Chat. My name is Leonard Patterson, and I am here with Mr. Buzz Factor himself, Mr. Bob Baker. I am so excited to get a chance to talk to Bob and just pick his brain live a little bit. We've had a chance to talk over the past couple of months and all that, but he's been a great inspiration for me over a long period of time with the band, and I just love getting a chance to hang out, Bob. So, Bob, how are you, man? Thank you for coming.
I'm doing great, Leonard. Thanks for inviting me on to this chat. I don't know if this is a recent thing you started. Am I like guest number 3 or 4 or something like that?
Number 3, yes.
And so I'm really excited about what you're doing here. I'm honored that you asked me on. We've become even better friends in recent months, and maybe we'll talk a little bit about that as we go along. But yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, and just to let everybody know what we're going to cover here, just in the next, we'll say 30 minutes, but it could turn into more than that. But what we'll cover here the next little bit, we're going to talk. I'm going to pick Bob's brain just about music marketing, a little bit about his journey as an artist and an author, and even I think Bob's agreed to even have a gift or two as we proceed.
A couple lucky winners could win something valuable here.
Yeah. So if you are tuned in, make sure that you just drop us a comment and let us know where you're tuning in from and say hello, and we will go from there. But Mr. Bob Baker, I don't know if I've kind of told you a little bit about this story, but I don't know if I've told you kind of the impact of it. So I want to share this just to start off. But
oh, cool. Yeah, please do.
Yeah. So back in 2002, I had just started my band in Indianapolis, Indiana, and it was called Living Proof. And actually, it's still going. I said was, like it's not there. I'm just not in it any longer.
Right.
But there was no Facebook back in 2002. Like
2002, man, that was the dark ages.
I know. What did we ever do? Like, did we market on MySpace? Like how did we ever get the word out? But so yeah, just kind of, being new to the role of band leader and trying to market and all of that stuff, I really was, struggling to try and find out like how to get the band's name out there. And over the course of the next couple of years, I started to see these things pop up like Guerrilla Music Marketing Handbook. And I started to look at all these different things. And yeah, just to let you know, that was kind of like my Bible in my early years of the band. And literally it was, you know what? I don't have any ideas of my own. Well, I had some ideas, but a lot of them weren't good.
I beg to differ. I'm sure you have plenty of good ideas, but extra inspiration is always good.
Right.
Yeah.
But yes, extra inspiration. But yes, I'm not sure when was the first edition of the Guerrilla Music Marketing?
Well, I mean, the first primitive one, we're talking like 95 or 6, probably like 1996. And back then, self-publishing wasn't even hardly born yet, I guess, at least in the digital realm. And so the first version was like in a 3-ring binder. It was a collection of articles I had put together from a newspaper that I used to publish here in St. Louis. And so that was the first edition. But yeah, so by 2000, it had been around for like 5 years, maybe by 2002.
Yeah. So, but yeah, just being able to, tap into that source of ideas was just something that, not only gave me comfort as a band leader, but really kind of gave me a path to take and ideas to implement. And, my wife and I, we went on to, be in the band for, 11, 12 years and, doing 120 shows a year and all this kind of stuff, 8-piece band. So it was a success by our standards, what we wanted out of it. But, all of that, foundation of ideas and all that stuff, a lot of it was coming directly from your book, which I assume came directly from your own brain. So
in the mind of Bob, I guess. Thank you for sharing that, man. I mean, yeah, you've given me a little piece of that story in the past, but I didn't know to that depth. And so I'm really honored. It's nice. Yeah. When people, I love when people share those stories because the book has been around for over 20 years now. Of course, not the same edition. It's been updated many times over the years. But yeah, it's neat. It's neat to know the lives that I've touched through that work. And this, so yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, it's current. If I'm, since we're in a visual medium, I see you're going to pull it up there too.
Ooh.
Yeah. I also have a copy here too. But yeah, it's definitely. So last year I published my 15th physical paperback book in 20 years. But the handbook that we're just talking about is like my flagship title. It's what got me on the map in the early days and led to all kinds of wonderful perks that I never even imagined when I first put this thing out. Like we're creating a course for Berklee College of Music called Music Marketing 101, and a lot of media coverage. I'm an adjunct professor at one of the local universities here in St. Louis called Lindenwood, and just like a lot of neat things have happened as a result of that book and subsequent books related to that topic. And then, I was also surprised, even though you and I met at the CD Baby conference in Nashville last year. It was the first time I think we met face to face.
Yeah.
Right. I got a Facebook notice sometime since then that we've been friends on Facebook for like 10 years or something. Yeah. And so I didn't realize. Yeah. So you did connect with me. Yeah. Way back in the day.
Yeah. I've been stalking you that long, buddy.
Good kind of stalker though.
But yeah, so just as we progress, speaking of the Guerrilla Music Marketing Handbook, I think you graciously agreed to maybe gift one or two of those if we have folks that would, maybe comment with the question or just put something in the comments below during the broadcast.
It will be a digital ebook or PDF version of it, but still, I want to be able to earn it. And so, if you use a relevant comment or question, that especially if we can use it here during the live broadcast, I'd be happy to give away a link or two or three. For those folks, you get to be proactive because the people that to get things in life, you have to take action. This is a very small action, but but it could lead to a free copy of the book. So,
exactly. Yeah. But no, thank you for that. And so comment below, you guys, and even if you just want to say hey and let us know where you're tuning in from, that'd be great. So comment below. But so that's kind of the early years of my band, and then obviously the early years of your book. But outside of the book, did you get started? Were you an artist? Were you in a band? Like, what were the, what's the foundation of the Bob Baker, music journey?
Yeah, well, I guess maybe we've never talked about that in all our conversations. So basically, I'm very blessed that a lot of the things that I do as an adult, I can trace back to childhood. So since grade school, I've had an interest in the written word. Was always doing writing projects and just kind of writing on my own outside of schoolwork, like even, fourth grade or whatever. About fifth, sixth grade, middle school, took an interest in music. And I started playing the guitar. And by the time I was in high school, I was playing in rock bands, playing in friends' basements and at parties and community centers and all that stuff. Played music. I played music full time in my 20s. Back then, that was the 1980s. And I was back then it was a top 40 band. And then I evolved into like alternative rock bands. Written and recorded a lot of original music. So I've always been an active working musician in the St. Louis and the area and the Midwest. Continue to be, it's been part-time for many years. But active working musician. And so I'm not coming at this from the sidelines, as an author. And so, I have sensibilities that I know what it's like to slog through gigs and to show up and have another band setting up because they double booked, and not having monitors and struggling to get an audience to come out, And so all of that informs my, I started off writing as one sort of curious musician writing to another about helpful tips. And through this, I mentioned earlier that I published a newspaper here in St. Louis. And I did that for 10 years. It covered the local music scene. And what that did is it turned me into a journalist who had the ability to interview artists at all levels, from everything from the local bands just coming out of the basement all the way up to like Sheryl Crow and people like that. I was always picking their brains about what their keys to success, trying to find out what elements or what principles, what traits did they have that allowed them to succeed while so many artists struggled, sort of compiling all those things. And to help myself, but also to help my growing list of readers over the years. And so that's kind of like the evolution, if you will. I was a musician who had the ability to interview these people, enjoyed writing. I had aspirations to publish a book, so that local newspaper led to an opportunity to get my first book out like 25 years ago. That led to many more books. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of the short, somewhat version of where I am today. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's great. And just, even speaking of, being an artist, like obviously, we've been friends now for 10 years on Facebook, but
of course,
even now currently, like, I get winded just looking at your schedule, because I look and I see on Facebook, you are not just an artist, but now you're also doing some improv. And is that for musicians, or is that just more of a community-based kind of
So I have so I guess because of my focus early on music marketing and this, like I said, the success of the book and my genuine interest and fascination with musicians and music marketing and building fan bases and all that, that's what I'm known for, is the music marketing stuff. However, my life has been full of creativity. I'm just very blessed to have done a wide variety of things. And actually the things that I'm doing now are not new. They're actually like, I first did improv and theater and stand-up comedy back in the mid 80s. I've been a visual artist since like middle school too, off and on. Not that I've been consistently busy at all these things, but they were interests of mine that continue to this day. So these days I refer to myself as being self-employed in the arts. What primarily pays the bills are the things related to the books. They're not specifically like book sales and product sales, like, ebooks, audiobooks, online courses. Those are all one piece of the puzzle, but it's also coaching. It's also teaching and other related things to the authorhood category. And then I play music and record music and sell music to this day part-time. I do some visual art, but bigger and bigger part of my time and like energy is going into teaching improv with short form acting, but I have a specialty in musical improv. I just did a show last night, full house. Yeah, it was just a blast. And so I go, actually it kind of gives me a sensibility to be able to help creative people of all types, because I'm not just limited to the music, and writers too, obviously.
Yeah, so, it looks the improv shows and all of those, activities, man, they just look like a blast. And, if I, the next time I'm, close to, back home in Indiana, I'm definitely going to try and see if I can, swing over to St. Louis and go to one of your classes, or just take you to lunch or something. But
it'll be great to hang out.
And just to let you know, we did have a question that I posted here on the screen, and it's from David Minor Gray. What's going on, David? And
hey, David.
Just touching on the Guerrilla Music Marketing Handbook, he said, what is the best use of the book? Getting shows, getting radio? So he just had like a quick question about the scope of the book. Great question.
Well, that's a good question. Yeah, I definitely don't focus on, the traditional radio. I think the best use of the book is to get on friendlier terms with marketing. So it's not about specific use this book to achieve X, Y, or I guess if there was a use of it, it's to develop a fan base, to develop a career. But really, before you can be effective marketer, before you can know what to do with all the tools, the tactics, because that's the first thing that people jump to. They say, I got an upcoming album, or I have an CD release party, or I have a gig or something coming up, and they go right to the tools and the tactics. Oh, we got to create a Facebook event. We got to do a press release. But really, it's taking a step back and understand, well, what is marketing? What's my attitude about marketing? Is it a friendly one? Is it something I'm eager to do, or do I disdain it? Do I hate marketing? Right. Which is not a very empowering place to be at. So basically, it demystifies the whole topic of marketing. And then the book is written, there's like 5 sections with a few chapters each. The first one is just an overview of it, again, kind of getting on friendlier terms of what is it. I love to take complicated topics and just break them down into the simplest components, so even a guy like me can understand them. Yeah. Then there's a chapter on online marketing. There's a chapter on publicity and that whole PR angle. So seeking publicity. There's one just on money making aspects. So there's not a specific thing. I like to think of it as kind of an overview of just marketing, what it is. But I focus a lot on the artist-fan connection, directly communicating and building relationships with your fans.
That's and that's and David, if that's honestly what I would get out of it. It was really just kind of taking it at the foundational level and just thinking about your fans as as conversations, and how to really interact with them, and regardless of what the medium is, regardless of what the end result is going to be, whether it's a show or a song download or streaming now and all that kind of stuff. So, but yeah, David, if that's something that you're interested in, this gift might be yours. I'm just saying.
Could be a winner. Can't win if you don't play, or something like that.
Yeah.
Or that's the lottery. Never mind. All right.
So actually, while we're on this, kind of this, topic of music marketing in the book, one of the things that I did, just want to provide for the, musicians and band leaders out there that are, really tuning in, and, I get a chance to, talk to musicians every day, but, just if you have an idea, like what would you say is like the top 2 or 3, ideas or tips that you would give a band leader or musician?
Sure. Well, of course, most of my message, is for the artists themselves, but a band leader, I assume, would be one of the founding members of Player. So basically, it's not even it is a marketing thing. I think a lot of times we can, and I think you can relate to this too, Leonard. You can get so wrapped up in the business aspect or the marketing that you get away from the thing you're originally drawn to do the art form to begin with. And so let's not forget, it's almost like not a disclaimer, but let's not forget to hone your craft. And so there are many ways to hone your craft. If you're a songwriter, don't just continue to write great songs. I mean, one of the best marketing tools you could have is an awesome tune that you share with people, and people go listen to it and go, wow, that's amazing. And they want to share it with their friends because they enjoyed it so much. So don't overlook the power of the craft. So songwriting, the recording process, if you can, so people have access to those tools to record in their homes. Even if you record in the studio, you might do demo versions or whatever. So learn the technology as best you can, so you can create and record your own music. So you can share it with people when you're not physically present in the room. And then performance. So hone your shows. And that's everything. It's not just about dancing around or screaming at the audience, but just being more confident on stage, your stage banter, setting up, the stories you tell before you play songs, the interaction that you have with the audience, get them to clap along or sing along so that you create an experience for them. So hone your craft, whether it's your instrument, songwriting, recording, or performing. Those are kind of the four categories. So that would be my first basic tip.
That's awesome.
And then secondly, I would kind of like what we were talking about with the purpose of the book, is I would reframe or get on friendly terms with this whole concept of marketing. Because believe me, I've been at this for decades, meeting people, and I get all sorts of feedback. Some people are just seem like they're overly aggressive promoters and have no issues touting who they are. Other people on the other end of the spectrum are wallflowers and hardly even mention that they have music for sale or that they're playing anywhere. Or they think it's icky, or they hate marketing. And so where do you fall on that spectrum? And just realize that marketing is just what I call a strategic form of sharing. Most musicians, I think, are comfortable with the idea of, I want to share this song or this music or this show with people who really enjoy it. I mean, it's a kind of a simple duh, yeah, but really that's what marketing is. And so how do you share, and so you look forward to marketing, and also you don't have to shift into some uncomfortable business mode or whatever. I think you can be just as creative in the marketing, the promotion, and even the sales of your music as you can be with the creation of it. It can be fun. It should be fun, or whatever that fun or satisfying means to you. So getting on friendly terms. And if you have a negative association to marketing, how can you reframe that? And that's why I think my books and a lot of my stuff helps musicians do, because I struggled with it early on. Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was just going to say, I was in a Facebook group and having a chat with some musicians, and we were talking about promoting and how, some bands don't want to, share a bunch of non-musical stuff because they think it's irrelevant, and they, my fans only want to know when I'm doing shows, and, but then on the other side, it's like, oh, I don't want to promote too much. And so it was this whole focus on promotion, and someone made the analogy about when you're watching TV, how you just have all these annoying commercials, and they don't want to be the annoying commercial. And the big, I guess, epiphany that came from the conversation was when we started talking about, I'm like, hey, what if we stopped thinking about ourselves as the commercial, and we started thinking about ourselves as actually the program?
Ooh, I love that.
We are the programming. Like we're not, we're not trying to get on these major broadcast networks any longer. We're not trying to, promote to national outlets. It's like we have our own TV shows. We have the ability to create our own programs. So it was just kind of an analogy that I'm like, oh man, that makes sense. And
I'm totally stealing that, Leonard. Yeah. That's a good one.
I'm going to write a post real quick. No,
you better know. I'll give you credit. No, that is awesome. Yeah, be the thing that people want to tune into because they're interested in what you do, what you have to say, your style of music, whatever it is. Yeah, Seth Godin, who I'm a big fan of, he's written a ton of books, he's a blogger. He refers to it, I think, as like interruption marketing, which is the standard thing with commercials. You interrupt people while they're doing other stuff and just try to get on their radar, and that's not effective marketing. Yeah, you want to be in a position where you're a perk, not a pest. And there are definitely ways to do that without having to scream and shout and wave your arms and all that. So earlier this year, I did this program called the 30-Day Build Your Fan Base Challenge, which several people or dozen or whatever people signed up for this program. And the whole point was to get people in the habit of sharing on social media. And so you were supposed to post or share something related to your creativity every day for 30 days. All right. And so, I knew going into this, that's going to be a tall order for some people, but like a third to a half of a way, like a week or so into it, there was a lot of discussion in the group and on our conference calls about, oh man, I feel like I'm going to overwhelm my fans and they're not going to like it. I'm going to make them mad because there's this sensitivity, which I get that you're going to do that. But when they stuck with it, most of them came out on the other side going, wow, people actually have been responding positively. They like it when I do this. They're interested. I heard from so-and-so, or led to opportunities or whatever. And so the backlash is not, it's overblown, And if you're sharing something that's going to be of interest to them and of value to them, you're going to endear them, not push them away, So that's my philosophy. And I think it is yours too.
I love it. Definitely.
Cool. And then, I have just one more tip in that list.
Please.
And this is more of a tactical thing. It's probably the only tactical, the thing that I've got here. These days, it's been a trend for a while, even though a lot of people are saying it's a new thing, but it's been around. It's been happening for years. But you really, when you're promoting online in particular, you really need to be visual. You think visual, and so that's still images, but it's also video is probably the biggest form of media that's being consumed. It doesn't have to be, I'm not talking about a lushly produced music video, but think in terms of what can you do for with visual content, videos, images, GIFs, whatever the case may be, but try to attach something visual and attention getting to communicate in addition to text, and just putting your songs up there, which is important, but think along those lines too. Yeah.
Yeah. And those are great. And that's, it's definitely, a lot of different things that, you can kind of get sucked into, all at once. There's social media is obviously a big business, and, for, if you're trying to keep up with every little thing, it could also be a big hassle. So that's one of the reasons I love the book. And actually it's one of the reasons that I actually started and, developed the courses that I'm starting to work on and things like that, is to kind of get that, hey, let's just, yes, all of this is great, but let's just focus on one thing at a time. Let's focus on connecting with your fans, and like you said,
and that specific little way to do that, you're one thing at a time. And as you know, one of the things I've done this year is kind of really upped the my involvement in one-on-one coaching and consulting. This actually came out of me being on the receiving end of a coaching mentor relationship early this year. And even though I've been in a couple of masterminds, and I've always had people I could turn to for advice, this was like the first time in a long time where I had like one person I was meeting with on a regular basis who was an objective sounding board, and someone who wasn't necessarily telling me what to do, but just sort of asking me questions and helping me reveal, the best, what my priorities were. Because we can all, left our own devices, no matter how empowered we are or productive we are, we get scattered, And so, but I found myself really getting focused and clear, making progress on a lot of things and getting out of a funk that I had been in. And out of that relationship came, I think I could, and with his encouragement, I could serve that role on a more ongoing basis with other people. And it really is. It's not about like overwhelming somebody. Oh, you're raising your hand, Leonard.
Well, yeah, I'm just, you're talking about it third person, but I'll talk about it first person. And,
go for it.
Just being able to, just briefly connect at the music conference last year, and then, just being able to touch base with a few messages and realize that, hey, you know what, I may have been doing this for X amount of years and, started a business and all that stuff, but it's been awesome to be able to have you just on those accountability calls, and to be able to, just have that, what, he didn't, I need to do this, and this, because I don't want to not have this done. And when I talk to Bob on Friday, I want to make sure that, I get things done. And just your ability to be able to kind of pull out the essence of, hey, what's most important right now? What are the top 3 things that you want to get accomplished this week? Or if one of the things is really huge, like what are the 2 things, or what's the one thing you want to get done? Yeah. So that has been great for me, especially just being an entrepreneur with, the responsibility of setting my own schedule. And, that to me is probably the most difficult part about that, is drawing your own boundaries. So, guys, if you're listening and you're interested in getting some accountability help, Bob is your guy. Once he gets full, you can call me too. But
I encourage you to do a similar thing. And you're so right about that. So there is the accountability part. Yeah, knowing that you've agreed to do something and you're going to be talking to somebody on a certain day, it does kind of light a fire to get those things done. But it's not I'm not a threatening type of like, I'm going to rake you over the coals if you didn't do it. But I will examine, well, why didn't you get that done? And actually, I got to tell you, I've told you this during our sessions, but you are one of the more like grab the bull by the horns of my current stable. Not that there's anything wrong with anyone else, but you like have made like just huge leaps and bounds. I remember, like sometimes I'll go, okay, you're gonna do 3 lessons of a course or something, and then next week you go, well, I did 3 courses. Three, you're like you're an overachiever. And so kudos to you for
Thank
doing
you.
that. So yeah, you've already got the tools, but you see the need still to have to be able to talk something out with someone and focus your activities. Another thing along those lines is, a good coach or consultant shouldn't like overwhelm you with a big to-do list. It really is paring it down to what's most important. What's the thing you want to make progress on. And I do think we mentioned improv earlier, and I've said this before. I really think like one of the greatest skills that you can develop as an improviser, I think has really helped me in all areas of my life, is this ability to listen. It's improv comedy even is not about being in your head and thinking about something clever, your next one-liner. It's about being totally present, because you're making stuff up with your partner on stage. So you got to be totally paying attention to each other. What are they saying? How are they saying it? How are they holding their body? What are they communicating? And then so that you can respond to that and create something. And I think that skill, and also my years of being a journalist and interviewing people, where I ask a question, I listen, and then I'll have follow-up questions. But if I'm tuning out, spacing out, I'm not going to get the most out of that interview, So I think that comes in really handy in all areas of life. But when I'm coaching, like with you, I'm listening to you and feeding back what I'm hearing, and questioning any assumptions you might have that may or may not be accurate about the world and your place in it.
Well, and it's great to have you as that sounding board, because you've walked the path of several times of the journey that I'm going down and stuff like that. So I feel like that's one of the big things with just having not just kind of a mentor or kind of a coaching relationship, but just, being in a community of musicians, whether it's local or online. Facebook groups are obviously really popular now, but it's something that, you talked about honing your craft. And that's one of the things that, being a part of those communities, I think really kind of help people grow, is because they're like, you know what? I'm not the only one in this situation. And
absolutely.
Yeah. And so it's like, I was talking to another person that I used to book when I was a booking agent, and she's been in the business for years. And she's like, oh man, I could never, answer those questions or anything like that. And I'm like, depending on any given topic and any given day, we could all be the teacher or the student.
Correct. Oh yeah. I'm both all the time. So she was implying, so she'd been a booking agent for years, and she's implying, who am I? I'm not an expert or something like that, or I'm not an authority.
She'd been in a band for many years, but doesn't think, at that time, the conversation we were having, she didn't think that she would have a lot to offer, that it was like doing social media right or something like that. And I'm like, girl, there are so many things that you could teach people about being on stage and about the booking aspect and all that stuff, while sure somebody else might have a more active or whatever, social online presence. But
years ago, I heard a really neat thing. Some guy, I forgot his name, but he was talking about, if you kind of, all tend to rate ourselves against other people, but let's just say that the top person in your field is like a number, like a 10, on the scale, and somebody doesn't know anything about the topic is a 0. Somebody like this booking agent, or anybody listening to this, pick something that you know a bit about, and even if you don't think that you're anywhere near a 10, maybe you're a 5 or a 6, on the scale. So you've done far. So what you would be of great value to 1s, 2s, 3s, 4s, people in that lower, they look up to you, and you can teach. So focus your energies on those people that know those lower rungs, and eventually you're going to work your way up to 9 and 10, but a lot of people are too close to themselves, and they don't give themselves the credit that they deserve. That doesn't mean you need to be boastful or cocky about it. You can have a calm kind of confidence about what you do, but yeah, it's important to realize the value that your art in particular brings to the world.
Yes, definitely. And we've got a comment down below from Clara. She is an awesome music biz professional. She does bios and works with artists and things like that. But she's a great person. But she said hello. So hey, Clara, how you doing?
Hi. This looks like it's Maria Clara, but
Yes.
she goes by Clara. Okay.
Yes, I've worked with her a little bit, so
Nice.
like
Hello.
Claire. But yeah, so yeah, then yeah. Speaking of like community, one of the things that I'm kind of obsessed with, or at least focused on right now, is just the role that social media plays, or that it could play. And I really believe, like, if it's done right, and this is probably a lot of the examples that you've got in your book, but I believe if it's done right, that it is a complement to the conversations that are going on. It's a conversation starter as opposed to a replacement for it. I see a lot of bands that I've booked, or I see a lot of bands online that are kind of like, it's literally just a broadcast mechanism. I don't have anything to offer. I don't have anything to say other than, what I've got going on. But yeah, I wanted to ask you, so just thinking about the term community, like, what does, just in your own definition, what does community mean to you?
Yeah, so I think so community is just like, so again, my mantra over these years is focus on fans, and that does not mean just announcing your albums and your music and your shows to them. It's, yeah, you mentioned the word conversation. This is really kind of an intangible thing, so sometimes it's hard to describe. But so how can you connect with people beyond just, here's my music, here's my song? So the beauty that independent artists have over major, like if you're a major label actor, if you're a superstar, your fan base is so big that there's a disconnect often between the artist and the fan. But as an indie on a smaller scale, you actually have the ability to more one-on-one communicate. And so creating a fan base that's not only intrigued by you as an artist and you and your music, but there's usually something that you stand for. There's a lyrical theme that runs through your songs. Maybe there's another, like a cause that you support. You're into the environment, you support the environment or animals, or you take a stand politically, or you're the fun, party artist, whatever that theme is, people. So here's the thing: the online world, the digital realm, can be a cold sort of environment because we're not face to face. So any way that you can warm that up. I always like to remind people of that no matter what the tools or the technology is, it's still human beings that are powering this whole thing. They're moving it forward, and human beings, there's a timeless element to this. Human beings are doing what human beings have done for generations and centuries. And one of those things is people like to, they congregate with like-minded people. We just do. We like to hang with our tribe. And so you could call it the community too. And so some of the most successful artists, they not only, I talk about the fan engagement triangle, and I think in one of the books, or in the handbook, where in the old days it was like, if you could think of a triangle, or you think of the artist up here, it was a one-way communication. Primarily, a new album or a band went on tour, and there was this message that you shot your message to the fans, or the record label would throw their message out there. So it was a one-way communication. When you have the ability as an independent artist to communicate, there's a two-way. The artist communicates to their fans communicate back to the artist. When you have a community, though, it expands, and fans are not only communicating with the artist, but they're communicating with each other. The best kind of well-known example of that, or one of them, is Deadheads, people that follow the Grateful Dead around. Parrot Heads are the same thing with Jimmy Buffett. But you not only go for the artist, but for the people you're going to hang out with at their concerts, at their events. The same thing is happening in forums and groups,
Yes.
So think about that. What is your theme? What do you stand for? And how can you get a group of people together to communicate that and share your music at the same time?
I love it. Yeah, and a lot of the bands that I work with are, they do covers, and so they'll be cover bands. And I was in what's funny is, like, we actually started off as an original band, and we started playing covers to pay for the CDs.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's, but we ended up being known for our covers, but we still released 2 full-length CDs during our time. But the thing that I loved about being in the band once we really got going was that it was that pinnacle, that triangle that you just talked about, was that a lot of the shows, it was less about us and less about what we were doing, and I loved it. It was literally people were congregating, at our shows to hang out with each other. And
Right.
oh yeah, by the way, Living Proof's up there. Yeah, we'll go dance with them too. But
the band was a catalyst. I would probably give it more credit for bringing those people together. I mean, those same group of people just they didn't move around to other bands. I'm thinking maybe they did, but it was part of a scene, I guess, right?
Yeah, we had a pretty tight knit scene. So there would be fans at multiple band shows, and heck, when we were off, we would go see other bands. So
yeah,
but yeah, there was definitely a core group of fans, and a mixture of family and personal close friends. And honestly, we've even now to this day, it's kind of transcended the band. Like, we have a lot of close friends that we have in our lives now that were based off of experiences at shows and meeting because they came out to see the band. And it's like, never really thought about that. Oh yeah, we met them when we were playing in the band. Oh yeah. But yeah, that's kind of the, to me, the, best example that anyone could want, or, a musician could want from, a community or a fan base, is that it's not just about when you're playing music. It's like you connect with people as people, and it doesn't matter what you're doing.
Another thing that I've just hammered home a lot, and you don't see this in most other marketing books or teachers or whatever, is I talk about the emotional component of how you affect people. So people are connected to you or drawn to you because of the way that your music and who you are as an artist, what you stand for, all of that comes together, how it makes them feel. They feel something, they experience something as a result of attending a show, watching a video, hanging out on a forum. It makes them feel some way. It's either empowered, it could be lighthearted, depending on your style of music. But quite often, like for a long time, I tend to write upbeat and positive message type of music. But I know there's a lot of artists out there that write darker stuff, and it came to realize that quite often their music, it makes people feel understood, or like, I thought I was the only one going through this pain or this struggle, but this song speaks to me and got me through a tough time. So there's a place for the whole range of human emotions, but knowing how your music makes people feel, and in a live event in particular, give them an experience that they're going to enjoy and remember, want to tell their friends about, want to come back and experience again. But again, that's the human timeless piece of this. If you don't get that, you'll never figure out how to use all the tools and the tactics, and the app won't matter. But if you stay focused on that, I think it becomes a lot easier to market yourself.
And see, you're in my head, because I was like, hey Bob, what's one motivational tip that you would want to give somebody? Like, that
was probably it, huh?
I feel like, yeah, I mean, if you could top it, that's great. But just getting to the core of that, the essence of that whole thing, it won't matter what the application is, it won't matter what platform you're using, it won't matter what kind of music you're sharing or all of that. So that, that's definitely something that speaks to something that I really firmly believe in. And we've tried practice when we were in the band. So that's awesome.
Yay.
Yes. So Bob, I know you're busy. I'm not gonna be too long, but we did have David, and we've got my friend Clara that's on here. I'm
gonna take a look at my
let me do this other here. There we go. So Clara. So yeah, guys.
Are they some of our commenters there?
Yes, they are. Clara and David, I would say, have been active on here, and I think Clara's still tuned in. But yeah, they've. If you guys are,
how to reach them through a private message or email or something.
I do.
Okay.
Yes, I do.
Well, I'd be happy to extend a link to that PDF of the Guerrilla Music Marketing Handbook to both of them if you're game, if you're good.
Yes, I am game. Yes. So congrats, Clara and David.
You are today's winners. Should become some kind of theme, prize-winning music playing in the background.
Right. And then if someone wants to catch up with more Bob Baker, I've got MrBuzzFactor.com on the screen there. Is that a good?
Yeah. So my main music marketing site, thebuzzfactor.com. Of course, that's a phrase that I adopted long ago, which, often is used when somebody's got a lot of attention. Well, they got the buzz factor going. So I just like that phrase. So thebuzzfactor.com. If you want to see my full breadth of what I do with the improv and music and artwork and all that stuff, you can go to Bob. It's my name with a hyphen in between the first and last name, bob-baker.com. If you go to the Buzz Factor, though, look for a little image of this thing called the Music Marketing Secrets, and you can get on my email list, and I'll send you a bunch of free reports and access to some goodies and interviews and so on that I think would help you out, and I'd love to stay in touch that way. And if you don't mind, if you'd like to just at least explore having a person, a coach, however that works out and whatever frequency works for the both of us, reach out to me and let me know about your interest there.
Definitely. Too. Yeah, I highly encourage you guys to do that. Like, it's, regardless of what stage you're in, just starting off, been in music for years and just trying to get to the next thing. It's been something that's really helped me just focus all of the stuff that, indie band coach is trying to, get its foothold here and on the West Coast and things like that. So it's been awesome for me.
Because when we started this a couple of months ago, you did not have any live courses, and now you got your 28 ways to promote yourself on social media, or
28 easy ways.
Yeah. Which is awesome. And you got a couple other courses in the pipeline, and you got a couple of some coaching clients of your own as a result of our conversation. So you're killing it, man, in a good way.
Thanks. Yeah. It's definitely been a good way to really just, get out there and, basically take those first steps. And, I'm sure people have seen this, and, we're going to, wrap up here. And if there's anything I can help do, please let me know. And obviously, if there's anything Bob can do, please reach out to him. But, if I had one message that I would want to share that has kind of come from working with, Bob over the last few months, and just kind of being able to move from, Indiana out to Southern California, just one of the largest things we've done in my life. But if there's anything I would say that I would want to communicate to artists and musicians and creative people out there, is that progress is not perfection. So, or perfection kills progress, whatever. But just take that next step, whatever it is. Write that first lyric, send that first or that next email, book that next show, whatever it is, just, actions build confidence, and just take action, you guys, because there's people out there that want to and need to hear your music. So if I can help, if we can help be a conduit to help you get it out there, that's great. If you've got this, then go get it and just get it out there, because Lord knows we need more music in our world today.
More than ever. Amen. Reverend Leonard. I like that.
I have a dream this afternoon. I'm sorry. I won't.
That was good. No, perfect. Yeah, I could have said it better myself. So that's a perfect note to end on. Yeah.
Definitely. Well, thank you so much, Bob. I appreciate you taking the time out. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'll get this up actually on my YouTube channel, and we did not record this vertically, so it can't go on my new IGTV thing. I guess Instagram just came out with the new hour-long video as of today. But
very cool.
Yeah, outside of that, you guys have a great one. Bob, thank you so much for your time, buddy. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Leonard. It was my pleasure, man. Happy to share my wisdom, and let's inspire some more musicians and creative entrepreneurs.
Definitely. All right, guys. All right, everybody. Have a good one. Talk to you later. See ya.